Our logic, our reason, our willpower, our voice aren't really active during infancy. So all of our cognitive 12% mind and any type of mental, cognitive affirmation of I trust now, it's not going to get bought by the subconscious mind until we get it down there in the way it needs it, on that kinesthetic level and through our very careful process here. So that was just a shortened, condensed version of the theory of mind, but put it through the filter of infancy trauma. And you can do that with anything. You could do that with autonomy. If, for example, if you were taught that every time that you did something by yourself that you got punished, you've got doing things by yourself is a negative down in your subconscious belief system. We have to go back in and retrain it to be positive. Okay, if you were taught that you aren't able to do anything by yourself, for example, you might have a belief that you're not worthy and that you carry a great deal of shame and that you're continually doubting yourself because you can't trust yourself. Maybe you have that down here as a subconscious belief system. We need to go back in and renegotiate that trust on perhaps even a better level. We need to go back in and renegotiate that ability to do things by yourself and to trust yourself and not live in that self-doubt. But again, we need that repetition. So this is, you know, it accomplishes several things. You're really explaining to the client why you need the repetition. It's one of the laws of learning, and also because we're dealing with delicate, important, sensitive information here that we need to observe in terms of how it's beginning to operate in the different layers of your life. And yet we've reinforced the theory of mind, the basic premise of what we're doing. So I would encourage you to practice the theory of mind and explaining it to your client. I did it on a whiteboard. You can have a whiteboard in your office, or you can do what we were trained to do as hypnotherapists, is keep a large yellow legal pad and draw it on that. And I even learned how to do it upside down. That might be a little too challenging at first, but we were able to actually do it upside down. They actually challenged us to learn how to do that. Explain the theory of mind upside down while you're facing the client. Because this model, in and of itself, the symbols that I've just drawn here have meaning to the right brain. We are reaching them through this model on a level that's beyond what I just said. As a matter of fact, this probably just reached you on a level beneath cognitive awareness, but also beneath cognitive interference. So this is how we can utilize two ways of learning the verbal mind. I've just explained everything through left brain language while representing a right brain model of how it works. So it accomplishes a great deal. So I would encourage you to learn this, watch it as many times as you need to, practice it with different subject matters, adapting the theory of mind and the subconscious belief system, explaining this library of knowns through different issues to where you get comfortable with it. You can always, if you get stuck in session and you don't know where to go with the client, revert to this. Go back. If they've expressed frustration and they're not responding to anything you say, you can go back and use the theory of mind and say, okay, so I'm hearing your frustration. Where do you think the belief system is here? And draw a little question mark here. What is the belief system here that's causing this frustration? What is it that needs to change? And you don't have to know today. But I would suggest that you allow that to come up sometime this week before next week's session. I've also just reinforced next week's session. So, because regularity and follow-through is important with this work. So you can even explain the theory of mind with question marks like this. Saying, what is this belief? We haven't hit this yet. We haven't determined this yet. Let's let that bubble up this week. And maybe perhaps next week we might have more insight. For now, let's go in and reinforce some of the work that we've already established, and let's make it safe to explore what this question mark might be. Utilize their frustration to your benefit. It's part of the process. And they are going to experience some frustration and some resistance to change along the way. Resistance to change is always a part of change. And it's the most important time to come right back in, because it means that the change is really happening. That's another thing to always reinforce with your clients. So, with that said, let's move on now to the rest of the material. And again, I encourage you to practice this as many times as it takes for you to get comfortable with it, because you can always base a presentation on explaining the theory of mind to people. You can do a 10-minute version, or you can do a 15-minute version, or you can do it, I've done a 25-minute version where I cover all the stages of development in the theory of mind. It depends on your audience and how much information they want. But you can be creative with this while still sticking to the model. So I encourage you to explore that and make it your own. I'll see you in the next module.